Chapter 5. A gentle breeze whispers through the air, catching the edge of a scarf draped over a still figure. With a sudden gust, the fabric lifts to reveal the face of Obe, lying face down in the dirt beside a mangled ship. The vessel's roof is torn clean off, smoke curling lazily from its ruptured rear, accompanied by the faint rhythmic beeping of a warning signal. For a moment, Obe's body remains eerily motionless. Then, with a series of violent coughs, life stirs within him. Obe groans as he rolls onto his back, clutching his torso, his body trembling from the effort. Rocking slightly, he begins to regain consciousness, his breath shallow and uneven.
What happened? Wait.
His voice trails off as his eyes dart around. At first, his movements are sluggish, his gaze wary. But as the unfamiliar surroundings sink in, a wave of panic overtakes him. His head swivels sharply from side to side, frantic and searching.
I'm not dead?
Obe exclaims, his voice trembling. He pauses, patting down his body and running his hands over his face.
I'm still in one piece? Wait.
A thought creeps into his mind, and a cold wave of dread washes over him.
I am alive, aren't I? This isn't the afterlife, is it?
He takes a long, proper look at his surroundings. Dull, desolate, and lifeless.
Because this doesn't look like there's any life here.
He spins in place, turning a full circle as his wide eyes scan the barren landscape. His gaze lands on the wreckage of his ship.
It can't be the afterlife. I'm pretty sure the ship wouldn't be here with me.
Suddenly, a jarring thought strikes him.
Lola!
Ignoring the protests of his battered body, he sprints toward the wreckage, panic rising with every step. Frantically, he searches through the twisted metal and scattered debris, his hands trembling as he tosses aside fragments of the ruined craft.
Lola!
He cries out, his voice breaking under the weight of desperation. His heart pounds as he scours the area, his eyes darting back and forth for any sign of his robotic friend.
Lola? Where are you?
As the minutes drag on with no trace of her, tears begin to pool in his eyes. His breath quickens, and his body starts to shake. The surge of adrenaline fades, leaving him to collapse onto the ground in agony, clutching his sides as pain overtakes him once again. Through the water-filled lenses of his eyes, Obe gazes blankly at the desolate landscape before him. A deep red desert stretches endlessly, waves of sand rolling out as far as the horizon. Dried remnants of a forgotten life jut from the cracked earth, their jagged forms casting eerie shadows under the oppressive orange sky.
Where am I? And where are you, Lola?
He murmurs, his voice barely a whisper. His head droops, the weight of his exhaustion pulling him down until his body gives in, collapsing onto the coarse sand. As he succumbs to sleep, fragmented visions crash through his mind like waves against a battered shore. Forgotten memories resurface, chaotic and overwhelming. The ship, a searing bright light, a blinding flash. Panic. He sees himself and Lola together in the chaos. The deafening roar of a mighty crash shatters the scene. The memories blur and distort, flickering like a broken reel of film. A void of darkness envelops him, but it doesn't last long. From the shadows emerges a faint image, a tall, slender figure standing over him, holding...
Lola!
Obe bolts upright, his breath heavy and uneven. His chest heaves as he looks around, the dream still clinging to his senses.
Lola, you're out there. I just know it. Stand right there! Don't move a muscle!
The voice of the silhouetted figure calls out, aiming a pistol-like weapon at Rocco and the man. The man slowly raises his arms, cautiously stepping back into the cave.
I said don't move!
The voice repeats, stepping closer. The figure advances into the light, and as the shadows fall away, it reveals Obe, He glances sharply at both the man and Rocco, studying them before lowering his weapon with a hesitant step back.
You're not who I'm looking for.
From the back of the cave, Rocco's voice rings out, exasperated.
What is going on today? First this guy, and now you? Who are you people?
Obi tilts his head, caught off guard by the outburst.
What do you mean?
He asks, then shifts his gaze to the man.
Did it happen to you too?
Did what happen?
The man asks, his curiosity piqued. Obi glances around as if pressed for time, his words hurried.
I can't explain right now. I've got to get moving. A friend is missing, and I'm looking for the thing that took her.
Just as Obi begins to step away, Rocco leaps down from the stone, blocking his path.
Wait, someone took your friend? That means someone else is out there too?
Obi nods.
That's right. I didn't get a good look, but it wasn't you two. This guy was big, really big, and I think he was wearing some kind of hat? I could barely...
Ob's rambling trails off as Rocco's face falls, his expression shifting to one of quiet dread. A chill seems to settle in the air as Rocco whispers,
The Bone Man.
The words hit like a thunderclap, silencing Obi mid-sentence. He turns his full attention to Rocco, tension thick between them.
The Bone Man?
Obi mutters, his brow furrowing in thought. Rocco steps forward, addressing Obi and the man.
Listen, you two. Something's happening here, and if this Bone Man has your friend, well, let's just say it's not good news. So I suggest we get things straight. I don't know who you are or what brought you here, but I say we find out.
Rocco pauses, glancing between them suspiciously, his expression grim.
Something is going on around here, and I need to know what.
The three of them sit around a small fire in the cave as the sun begins to lower outside, casting long shadows. One by one, they start to recount their stories. Rocco speaks first, going through the events of the storm and the objects falling from the sky. Then Obi begins to share his own experience. Rocco and the man sit silently as Obi recounts his story, his voice steady but laced with tension. The fire crackles softly, the flickering light casting dancing shadows across the cave walls.
Lola and I were approaching something. We didn't really know what exactly. It was just powerful. The closer we got, the more our ship began to shake. We thought we were done for. Then, suddenly, we saw it up ahead. A small shimmering light growing rapidly. It was so mesmerizing, pulling us in, and there was nothing we could do to stop it. Before we knew it, we reached the light, and then nothing. The next thing I remember, I was lying face down in the sand, beside the wreckage of my ship. My vision was blurry, but I could hear a rumbling behind me. It came to a stop, and then I heard its footsteps. I couldn't see clearly, but I could hear someone rummaging through the ship. Then the footsteps got louder. Suddenly, a figure appeared in front of me, but I couldn't focus on it. I looked up and saw this huge figure. It was just standing there, staring down at me. In one hand, he held a bag. In the other, I could tell it was Lola.
Obi pauses, his hand tightening into a fist as he stares into the fire.
He knelt down beside me, searching through my pockets. That's when I got a better look. He wore a big brown hat. And those eyes, they were dead, completely void of anything.
He exhales shakily before continuing, his voice quieter now.
I must have blacked out, because the next thing I knew, I woke up alone. I saw tracks leading away from the wreckage, so I started to follow them. But the breeze slowly covered them up with sand. That's when I found you two.
The cave falls silent as the weight of Obi's story lingers in the air. Rocco looks down at the fire, deep in thought, while the man rubs the back of his neck, unsure what to say. Finally, Rocco breaks the silence.
It is the Bone Man.
He mutters, almost to himself. Out of nowhere, the man speaks out.
I saw him too.
Rocco and Obe look at him in surprise.
What do you mean? You saw him too?
Rocco yells.
When?
I don't remember exactly, but it must have been before those monsters found me. I can vaguely recall something.
The man looks deep into the flames, concentrating hard as he tries to remember.
Hey,
Obe calls out to the man, pausing midway as he realizes he doesn't even know his name.
what is his name?
Rocco opens his mouth to speak, then stops, suddenly realizing that he has never actually been told the man's name.
I don't... Hey, mister, you've not told us much about yourself. Like, what even is your name?
The man's head slowly turns to Rocco, his gaze drifting slightly towards the ground as he avoids eye contact.
My name?
He pauses again, almost as if his mind shuts off midway, his eyes distant and unfocused.
Hello, mister?
Rocco calls out, waving his paw in front of the man's face. Without flinching, the man responds.
I don't remember.
Rocco and Obe exchange puzzled looks. Obe shrugs, and Rocco turns back to the man.
Do you know where you came from? How you got here?
The man sighs.
I've been wondering since I woke up in the belly of that monster.
Rocco's eyes widen in horror.
Whoa! Wait a second. The belly of one of those bastards?
I can't seem to recall much before that. But since you mentioned this bone guy, it rings a bell. I just can't seem to remember.
His voice trails off again as he stares into the flames. Once again, the man falls silent. Obi and Rocco watch him closely, waiting for him to continue.
I was on the floor. I saw him. He took something. Then, I don't remember.
The man began to grow angry at not being able to remember what had happened. Obi stands tall, determination burning in his eyes.
Well, I, for one, am going to find this Bone Man. If you two want to join me and help get Lola back, maybe we'll find some answers along the way. Who knows? Maybe you'll even remember what he took from you.
His gaze shifts to the man.
And if that doesn't work, I'm sure Lola will be able to help. She's a supercomputer with a massive database and an extremely intelligent AI after all.
Obe extends a hand towards the man, a hopeful smile on his face. The man stares blankly at it, unmoving. Obe pauses, his smile faltering slightly, and then retracts his hand, clearly disappointed.
Okay.
The man finally says, his response delayed and monotone. Obi's face lights up once more.
Great! That's fantastic!
He turns his attention to Rocco.
How about you?
Rocco, who had been lost in thought, startles at the question.
Huh? Me? What? No chance, buddy. If you had any sense, you'd stay far away too. You don't know this guy, he's...
Rocco stammers, clearly struggling to find the words.
Man, I don't even have words for the kind of nasty this guy is.
Obi shrugs.
Well, I don't see myself having any other choice. I'm stuck here, and I need Lola. She's not just a friend, she's my only chance of figuring out how to get out of wherever this is. So I'm still going.
He softens his tone slightly.
But if you've got any information on how I can find this guy, I'd be extremely grateful.
Rocco glances at the floor, visibly torn. He knows all too well the danger the Boneman represents. Finally, he lets out a heavy sigh.
I'll take you to his base, but no further.
Thank you so much!
Obi exclaims, bounding forward to give Rocco a big hug. Rocco freezes, looking thoroughly uncomfortable, and quickly tries to wiggle out of the embrace.
Yeah, okay.
He mutters, waving his hands.
But no more of that.
He steps back and shakes himself off, his fur fluffing back into place. Obi chuckles at Rocco's reaction, then turns to the man.
As we're going to be doing this together, we're going to need something to call you. So, what are you thinking?
The man raises an eyebrow, unamused, and remains silent. Rocco jumps in with a sly grin.
This mysterious man? How about something ominous like Mr. X? Haha, yeah, that suits him good.
Yeah, huh.
Obi nods, a slight laugh escaping.
I think I'll drop the formality, though, and just call you X.
The newly dubbed X sits there, his expression unchanging, clearly unamused by the name but unwilling to argue. Rocco, Obi, and X ended the night with light banter, the tension easing bit by bit as they began to know one another. Even X, guarded as he was, allowed himself to relax slightly, offering the occasional dry comment that brought a grin to Obi's face and a chuckle from Rocco. The fire crackled softly as the conversations dwindled, each of them feeling the weight of the day settle over their shoulders. One by one, they found their spots in the cave to rest, the flickering firelight casting long shadows on the walls. With the plan set and their uneasy alliance forming, the three lay down, readying themselves for the journey ahead. The quiet sounds of the desert night seeped into the cave, a reminder of the unknowns waiting for them when the sun rose again.